TV.
Here we go.
So give me 1 second.
Yeah. So I ended up getting new internet this week. Or no. Yeah, Monday. Got new internet. Switched from Spectrum to AT&T. So far, haven't had any issues. So I'm thinking this may be the new norm from now on.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So today, we've got a marriage expert that's going to be joining us at 8 o'clock. So, Christopher, you must work for AT&T if you're saying that.
What?
So yeah, we're gonna have a marriage expert come on at 8, and she's gonna share some of her tips and advice for men and women about being happily married and putting yourself in a position to get in a solid relationship that leads to marriage. No, Chris, I was just saying I switched over to AT&T for my internet at home, and so now when people join, looks like it's going a lot smoother. I can see you guys immediately, so I'm thinking this is a good shift.
What'd you have before?
Spectrum.
Who?
What do you have?
AT&T.
Oh, really? What do you have, Steve?
AT&T.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now I guess I'm just now catching up with you guys. Okay. So, Chris.
Yeah.
Little off topic. You excited for this weekend? Friday,
bro. Yeah, we practiced at LSU yesterday, bro, and it was dope. Like their indoor facility, we practiced at LSU, so it was really cool. They're excited, bro. It's a weird feeling, huh?
Really? Being on the other side, like the other end of it, seeing it from the coach's perspective.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy it though. It's just really dope. But like Kobe said, job ain't finished. But
right.
Honestly, we had a real good plan, and
don't share too much.
I don't want to say it like
they might be watching.
No, but I'm gonna keep it honest. Like the last two teams we played, one was like what with us, and the other one probably might have been, if we talking just like stars and stuff, probably more talented than us, right? So this one, we're kind of, I guess we're more the favorites. So now we kind of switch roles, but nothing changes, right?
You gotta come
with the
same
right. And this team, they've been in the state championship for 4 years straight.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Yeah, they only won one, but they've been in it for now 4 years straight.
Wow. Wow. Well, that ought to be exciting. Yeah. Is there a way that we can all watch?
I think so. I know it's gonna be on TV, but I don't know if it's just gonna be like Louisiana. I'm gonna ask around, ask some of the coaches, see if like we're gonna be broadcasting it though.
Right.
Definitely gonna check it
out.
Link. So topic tonight, as it was last week, is marriage. Got interesting last week. We're not going to talk about the same. For anyone that wasn't there, last time we talked about like biblical reasons for divorce.
Wait, what? Say it again.
Did I freeze?
Kind of cut out. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe AT&T is not the way to go. So I said last week, for anyone who wasn't watching, we talked about biblical reasons for divorce and what's not mentioned as biblical reasons for divorce. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole today, but it was an interesting conversation. And so today we're going to be talking about just some, some lies that we may have bought into about relationships, about marriage, that are keeping men and women in the church single or in unhappy marriages. So, that's kind of the topic for tonight. Do you guys have anything that you notice off the top of your head, Chris, since you're not going to be on here that long? What are some things that you notice for men, especially, that you think keep men single and are some lies that they bought into about relationships and marriage.
Yeah, I
from
mean,
the church.
I think given the fact that man, we don't see a whole lot of successful marriages, right? It kind of puts a very bad perspective of it out there, right? That when you get married as a man, you're gonna have a nagging wife. You're gonna be, had that experience. You're gonna be miserable. It's gonna be the old ball and chain. You're gonna have to like do anything she wants, and all that bad stuff, right? So there's this kind of I guess perspective about marriage from a man's perspective that it's not something you're just ready to do, right, or want to do to a certain extent, right? Because we're taught, in today's society, bro, like go, live your life and have many experiences as you can, and when you're all done, when you all then settle down and have some kids and live that kind of life, right? As if that life is not even more fulfilling than living a single life, right? I don't think one is necessarily more fulfilling than the other. I think it's just seasons, right? I think your marriage life should be just as fulfilling, if not more, to a certain extent, as your single life, right? But I think the perspective out there is, man, when you get married, it's gonna be a ball and chain. You can't do what you want to do. You can't live how you want to live. You're gonna have a nagging wife. She's gonna let herself go, and she's not gonna want to have sex with you, and like a whole bunch of stuff, right?
You know what's
but
crazy?
To be honest, like
what's crazy is, and that's a lie that I think that the world is like kind of portrayed, especially to a lot of guys in like the whole like red pill space. Like marriage is a waste of time, blah blah blah.
Right.
But and then there's this idea where it's like you said, the whole thing of, oh well, once you get married, she's not going to want to have sex with you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've been married over a year, not a long time, but let's just say I've never dealt with any of those problems. So that's not the case for everybody.
Yeah.
It depends on. I think those are conversations you need to have before you get married. So the expectations are there.
Yeah.
Because just like we told a lot of the women last week who were kind of like, oh, what about a guy that you're married and then he just magically just changes from this amazing guy to this abusive, terrible guy. And it's like the odds of that happening aren't very high. In the same way, guys, if you really vet the woman you're dating and stuff,
you got to do your due diligence.
Changing that much.
Yeah.
Like a total 180. I don't know.
I mean, but you gotta also take in the fact that there are some people, a whole lot of people, obviously, that they date with their best foot forward, right? They're not gonna tell you all their flaws or their problems or their issues. They're gonna put on this glorified angelic version of themselves, right? Until you make them mad, until you do something they don't like, until you don't serve them anymore, right? Until all that stuff happens, then now you see who they really are.
Right. So it's like, how long can somebody fake it? Like it's
That's
hard
why
to
that
fake
vetting
it for so
process,
long.
you gotta be very thorough during that vetting process. And look, I'm not against people getting married early because I don't think time is a good factor in the vetting process. I think it's about the intentionality behind it, right? So you can get married in 6 months, but if every day we talking about certain things, we having certain experiences, we're actually getting work done, that 6 months can be a lot more productive than somebody dating for 2, 3, 4 years.
Right. I agree 100%. I think it's Julia says it's the other person's responsibility to figure that out by being observant. We'll go ahead and we have a guest who wants to come on. Let me type this in real quick, and then I'll bring her on, and then we'll bring our main guest in real quick. Okay. Let me go ahead and pin this real quick. So our main guest, Don't Become Roommates 1989, is here. She'll be hopping on right after this person who just sent a request hops on. And then I know, Chris, you got an early morning tomorrow. I guess this is one of your followers because it's an attorney, somebody. But let's see.
Hey, y'all.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
What's your name? Where are you from?
Attorney Tammy Allison from the southwest side of Houston, Texas, residing in the DMV.
Nice.
All right, see, love. That's your neck of the woods, huh?
She said she resides in the DMV, though.
Yeah, we in the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
C Love's from Houston.
H-Town, hold it down.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? What's the question, comment that you had that you wanted to hop on and share or ask?
I said, hold up. I see all these beautiful black men that I'm such a fan of talking about marriage and relationships. And I heard something about sex while you're married. It was a little bit of shenanigans. I said, y'all need a black woman up on here too to share their opinion. So I just decided to grace y'all with my presence, right?
Okay.
Because what? What? Have y'all been married before? Because I've been married twice.
I'm married.
He's married
right now.
Okay, so the only person that's been married before is you.
Yep.
Well, I am married.
Okay,
yeah.
you're currently married.
Yeah.
But the other two have not been married ever before.
Right.
No, I've never been married.
Okay. So I've been married and divorced and married again. And yeah. But marriage is fun if we want it to be fun.
Wait.
But life is short.
Wait. What's like the for?
Which part?
All of it. Like why you saying it like that?
Marriage is work. It's a lot of work. It's not fun. It's not rainbows and unicorns and cotton candy. I think a lot of people have the misconception, especially black people, have the misconception of what marriage really is. Marriage is a work, just like your job, and it's exhausting, okay? But at the same time, when you don't like your job, or if your job is stressing you out too much, what do? We leave our job. So I just think that black people and other underrepresented groups need to normalize leaving the job that you don't like no more without shame.
Well, wait, hold on, wait. Before you hop in, Chris, I do want to ask what are your, because I don't want to disagree without knowing where you're coming from. What are your like views on like faith? Are you Christian, Muslim? What? Christian?
Yes.
Okay. So biblically, divorce because I don't like it anymore isn't a biblical reason for divorce, according to God. So I don't know if it's a good idea to normalize that in our society, if it's against what God says.
So this is the thing, right? So I always tell people, like my first marriage that ended in divorce, I always say that I had biblical, moral, and ethical reasons to leave, because I feel like, especially black women that are married, especially like in the DMV where I was, people, especially black women, they make it seem like marriage is something that's like unattainable. And it's almost like they like talk down to single black women, like you can't get a man or whatever. But behind closed doors, a lot of black women and black men are living in hell, okay? And the type of hell that I'm talking about is not just like physical abuse, but it's like the mental and emotional abuse that goes with it. And I think that a lot of people that look like us don't talk about it at all. They don't normalize it. And certain things that happen in our culture happens during a marriage, and we tend to sweep it under the rug because that's what we've been exposed to from our parents and other generations. So when I say normalize leaving a situation that don't feel good no more, it's having those biblical reasons, the moral reasons, the ethical reasons to actually leave. You have to weigh a lot of factors when you decide to marry someone. So you also have to weigh a lot of factors whenever you decide to leave them. But a lot of people don't talk about it and normalize it.
What are the biblical reasons for leaving in your mind?
Adultery.
Okay.
first and foremost. That's something that I think a lot of us have seen in our culture where, it's almost normalized for a woman to almost accept or turn a blind eye to their male partner cheating, right?
Right.
So
So what you're saying is, in a situation where you're not happy and there's adultery, then it's okay, basically.
Well, that's one biblical reason, right?
Yeah.
So what about, the moral reasons, the ethical reasons, right? If your partner is doing things that don't align with your code of morals, right? And you've talked to them, you've gone to therapy, you've done treatment, and it's still
As
not
far as
working.
what?
Let's see. Lying about taxes, buying a dump truck without telling you whenever the formal living room doesn't have furniture in it, ethical reasons.
Are you messing around, or are you serious?
This is my life. I'm an open book. Google me, look at my page. I don't.
Yeah, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Just little
little
things like that. But the more I talk about my experiences, the more I realize so many other people, both men and women, deal with the same shenanigans.
Right.
So at a certain point, you got to realize your worth. And it's okay to leave a marriage that is not serving anymore. The same way it's okay to leave a job that doesn't serve you anymore. Marriage
is the purpose of marriage to serve you or to be the one serving?
You serve each other. You're one.
So if you're not getting served, is that a reason to leave a marriage? Or is the marriage, is my job in the marriage to dictate how good the marriage is or whether I should leave or not based on if they're serving me well or if I'm serving them well?
I think that it goes both ways. Each person has to serve each other, right? And because you're one unit, it's not just two different people, it's one unit.
Right.
But the one unit cannot be sustained if you're not in alignment with your biblical principles and other principles as well. And sometimes you can do all the therapy and try as much as you want and it just don't work. So it's okay to dip out.
But
it's okay.
Do you serve God every day?
I think most Christians try to, yeah.
Do you up to what he expects?
Yeah.
So I would say that's against the Christian message. The Christian message is we are all flawed. The gospel, the good news is that none of us live up to God's expectations. We fail him on a daily basis with our thoughts and with our deeds, what we've done and what we failed to do, right?
So we stay in a horrible marriage where everybody is uncomfortable?
Well, Jesus is the definition of love, and he looked pretty uncomfortable on the cross. What he said on the cross, while people
he could have left, he could have dipped.
He had all the power in the universe to annihilate the people that were pinning him to the cross and spitting at him and calling him all sorts of names. But instead, he prayed that they would be forgiven. That's what love is.
And love is also what they say about love, that you're supposed to love your wife the way that God loved the church. So if you're not loving your wife the way that God loved the church, right, then it's time for that person to dip out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And
but it also says on that same pad, if you want to go there, it also says, woman, submit to your husbands, right?
So
you can submit all you want, but sometimes I think that the word submission is not properly
let's get into it.
When we talk about submitting, a lot of times we think of, having a woman just bow down to the man or do whatever the man says. That's not what submission is. And a lot of people have that misconception of what submission is.
Let's read it. Let's just read it and we'll talk about it real quick.
This conversation is going back to last week.
So
what happened last week?
In Ephesians 5, it says, wives, submit to your husbands as unto the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of this church, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so wives should submit to their husbands in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes on to say, he addressed the wives first. Then he goes on to say, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her in the washing of the water through the word and presenting her to himself as a radiant church without stain, wrinkle, or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. If she is submissive, no, it doesn't say if she is submissive. If she loves you back, no, it doesn't say if she loves you back. If she does the right, no, it just has a period right there. It doesn't say, husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church if she does her part. Wives, submit to your husbands in everything if he does his part. It's a covenant, meaning the difference between a covenant and a contract. So a covenant is what God signed with his people and what Jesus did on the cross. A covenant is something, a contract is, I mean, you're a lawyer, right? You're an attorney. You know what a contract, so you know what a contract is, but for the people in the audience, a contract is something two people come into agreement in, and when the other person doesn't hold up their end, there's consequences and the contract can be broken. A covenant is signed and sealed for life. It's not about, oh, if you hold up your end, then I'll do my part. Oh, if you do this, then I'll do that. It's the difference between a contract and a covenant. And I think in our day and age, we've gotten so caught up in, and it's not just you, but all of us, myself included, we are so conditioned to think contractually rather than covenantly.
No, I'm talking covenantly. Yeah.
So
Attorney Tammy Allison is super smart over here. I'm talking covenantly,
well,
and I'm saying it with my whole chest.
So if you're
as someone
talking covenant, well, then if you're talking covenant, not being happy and not feeling served isn't a reason to break it.
So that goes a little deeper, right? Before you get to a point where you're not feeling happy, right? There's the covenant that's not a covenant anymore. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Wait. Yeah, a covenant is like you said, till death do you part.
Yeah, till death do you part with that covenant, right? With the scripture that you just read. But as the man, and we're talking about heterosexual relationships here, just in case anybody is, watching. Right. I can only talk about it from a point of being.
Carla, at 8:15, we're going to go ahead and bring you on.
Okay. I'm talking about it from the perspective of being a heterosexual woman who bows down, respects, and loves men, in particularly black men, okay? But at the end of the day, what I'm saying from my personal experience, without, overtaking your live, right? As a black woman who has been married not once but twice, right? In the first marriage ending, there was a lot of shame and a lot of lack of support that I received from the church that we were a part of. And when I talk about it and share my story, so many people have similar issues that I had in terms of the severe physical abuse that I endured, and then turn around and go litigate a case on behalf of the Department of Justice and kill it, and then hide that part of what was happening at my house just because I had 6 bedrooms and a lake in the backyard and luxury cars and a cute little kid, right? Because of the way that the church put it in my head that I can't talk about what was going on. Not only the physical, but the mental, the emotional, and all the rest, right? But at the end of the day, when I share my story and I'm an open book, so many men and women alike tell me that they've experienced similar things, but they have so much shame about the stigma of the divorce or leaving a bad situation. And that's something that I'm still dealing with, right? But I just want to help people understand and normalize marriage is beautiful, but it's okay to have more than one marriage if you have really good reasons to leave. Like I said, biblical, moral, and ethical reasons.
Well, do all the reasons have to be biblical in your eyes?
I just said biblical, moral, and ethical.
Well, I'm saying
I checked off all of everything because
I'm saying, are you saying all 3 of those have to be met? Or are you saying one of those 3 or 2 of those 3? For me personally,
the way that I live my life, all 3 have to be met before I make that decision to bow out and leave. A covenant can be forever all the way. But at the end of the day, that's what gets people killed. That's why people stay in abusive relationships. So someone making a comment about a covenant being forever, it's not forever whenever you're in an abusive relationship.
So we talked about that last week, and my take on that is, if someone were to ask me if there is biblical backing to physical, are you talking about physical or just any type of abuse in your eyes?
I'm talking my personal experiences, biblical, the physical abuse, as well as the adultery and other things.
Yeah, adultery already, you've already marked it off. That should be enough of a reason. biblically. When it comes to the physical, I'll give the same answer I gave last time in a very short nutshell version. If someone is to ask me, hey, biblically, is there anything in the Bible that says that I can leave because of strictly abuse from my definition? I would say leave. Yeah. Separate. Yes. Break the covenant and get married to someone else. I would say I don't see it in the Bible. So if you're going to get someone to tell you it's okay, it'll have to be someone else, because I can't tell you that the Bible says that. Now, if you just want,
I'm not seeking permission from nobody to say it's okay. That's why I said, for me, in the way that I lead, in the way that I've blown up in 2 years as a nobody to where I am, I said, for me, there's 3 good reasons: biblical,
right,
moral, and ethical.
But
for me personally, each one.
I was just saying, from a biblical perspective, someone was going to ask, but that would be
the problem with us Black people.
Answer.
You can't just focus on the biblical part, and that's why people keep getting killed, men and women alike.
Well, I would say the thing that gets people killed in our community is the fact that people aren't looking at every individual.
That Christians want to minimize people's experience.
Let me finish real quick. The reason that people are getting killed is because we don't believe that every single person has inherent value because they're made in the eyes of God. Whether it's in a marriage, whether it's on the street, whether it's wherever, whether it's at a football game, or whether it's in the womb, we don't look at human life as valuable. And that's the problem. In marriage and all these other things. And the reason we don't look at human life as valuable is because we don't believe what it says right here about God making man and women in his own image. And that's what gives us value. Hey, Chris, Carla's trying to hop on right now.
Well, thank y'all for having me, all right? But I just want y'all to be encouraged. Love, and love marriages, but let's normalize dipping out when the shit ain't right.
No, we're going to have to dip you out right there, because we don't agree with that part. Okay. Carla.
I thought KS was about to come out.
No, man. Let's see. Trying to add her in.
I know C-Love was waiting on it.
So we're not gonna, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole again like last time.
Hey, because it was definitely about to go there.
Yeah. I'm trying to add, Carla, I'm trying to add you on. I'm sending you the request right now. I sent you the invite. Send you the invite. I just sent you the invite. Try going to the request, taking it away, or leaving, and then coming back in. See if that works. But here's the thing, guys. We've got to get away from our opinions of what we think is good, and we've got to get back to what the Bible says is good. Subjective morality does not work. Subjective morality.
And look, even with subjective morality, like we're human too, so we understand that it's not easy, right? Like the subjective morality to say, oh man, this is wrong. How could this happen? Why would God allow this, or X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. Like we have to, as a Christian especially, we have to get to the point to where we submit what we think is right, what we think is correct, or how God would do it, and we have to submit that to what God says, right? In the Word, right? If we can't do that, then I think we were putting like a cap on not only our relationship with God, but just what He can do through our lives, right? Because we're not truly submitted under Him, right? So, and look, I'm not saying it's always going to be easy, always going to make sense, right? To be honest, a lot of the stuff probably won't make sense in the time, right? But as you keep following, God doesn't require us to always, understand what He's doing, but He does require us to be obedient, right? So sometimes you have to be obedient even when you don't understand, and trust that the all-powerful, all-knowing God has your best interests at heart.
Right. I just sent Carla the invite. Maybe AT&T wasn't the way to go. Or maybe I need to update the phone or something. I don't know. So a lot of people, like Chris said, the whole Bible, the entire Bible is about submission. It's about submission. It's about people submitting to God because we trust that he knows better than we do for our life. That's what the Bible is all about. I just sent you an invite again, Carla. So you may have to go out and then I'll have to send it back. It's an XR. It's not an iPhone 6.
I told him he need to get the new one. I told him that.
I'll be in debt if I get the newest one. I'll be in debt.
Hey, tell him to buy some badges. It might help you out.
Yeah, buy some badges and I'll get the new one. Man, what the heck? All right, guys. Chris, hop off. Oh, okay. See love left. All right, there we go.
Did she pop on?
She hasn't popped on yet. See love left though. Okay. I just sent it to her again. But anyway, I think the biggest issue is, like, if we're gonna say we're Christians, we can't say this is okay when it fits me. I mean, what do you guys think? If you guys have different thoughts, feel free to, hop in and request to talk about it. But again, the idea that if something isn't serving you, especially in marriage, that you just get to leave, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah. Now, honestly, if you want to argue, go ahead.
I'm gonna keep it a buck though, and I think that's why even with kids, we gotta stop creating, I don't want to say, and take this with a grain of salt, because this is my perspective.
All right, Chris, see if you can are you able to send her a request?
No, I can.
Are you able to request people to join?
No, I can't.
That's really weird. I know her account got hacked recently. Maybe there's something that has something to do with that. But go ahead.
Yeah, like I was saying, bro, and I think there's a lot of people that grew up in the culture, man, if you try out for the football team and you make the team and now the coach is not playing you, well, just quit, right? If you did cheerleader and this is not happening or this is not going the way just quit. If you picked up an instrument after you don't really like it no more because it gets tough, just quit, right? So we we learn, in life, hey, you just quit. Just quit. Just transfer. Just do something else. Just get another girlfriend. Just get another boyfriend. We're kind of conditioning ourselves to just dip, right? But marriage is kind of the complete opposite, right? It's not just about if it's not serving you, if it's not feeling right, if you're not fulfilled in the moment. No, you made a commitment. You made a commitment to not only God. You made a commitment not only to that wife or your husband. You made a commitment to God, right? So it doesn't matter how you feeling. Your feelings do not matter. And I'm going to make sure my kids understand that, especially when they're going through tough times like football.
Wait, but what if you don't feel in love anymore?
Love isn't a feeling, it's a choice. Jesus didn't feel like getting on that cross, but that's what God called him to do. You're not always going to feel like loving your wife. You're not always going to feel like coming home. You're not always going to feel like submitting to your husband. You're not always going to feel like showing her affection and showing her respect. You're not always going to feel like doing it. Right? And that's just the human nature. For if you're an athlete, you understand this. You're not always going to feel like working out. You're not always going to feel like getting up at 5 a.m. and hitting those sprints. You're not going to feel like killing your body just so you can get to that championship or get to that next level. You're not going to feel like it all the time. But if you say you committed to something, it has nothing to do with external forces, people, circumstances. It's about who you say you are. And I think that's the problem a lot of times with marriage is people haven't really developed their character, right? And the only way you can develop your characters is saying that, you know what, are you committed to that thing that you once said that you said, even when that feeling has long left you, right?
Right.
That's what it's about. So for me, all I can speak for is for me, man, I think throughout my whole life, God has been just teaching me and molding me to say, you know what, even when things don't feel right, even when you may want to leave, may want to quit, may want to get out, I called you to stay committed to this, right? And if I'm a reflection of you, I got to, because that's what Jesus did, right? So like, I'm really big on that, because people just, look, it's hard going through that. I get it. It's hard dying to your feelings. It's hard submitting to what God's will over ours. It does. It is hard. But shoot, that's what you signed up for, right?
Right.
Like, if you don't want that, then just don't get married. Don't sign up for that. Just date and have a girlfriend. And when you want to leave, just dip, right?
And that's what I think. I think it's like the football player who was told, like, college football is fun, which it is fun, you know, but they're told college football is fun, and they think that means it's all fun.
Right.
People don't tell them, hey, you've got weights at 5 o'clock in the morning. You've got 2-a-day, sometimes 3-a-day practices.
You got to study hard.
In Arkansas, you know, like, and so it's 100 and what was it that one summer, man? We practiced in the middle of the day. It was like
on turf.
On turf. It was like 115 degrees or something crazy like that. But
people want the rings. They want the NFL shirt. They want the Alabama shirt, but they don't want to put in the work, right? They just want to look cool and say, "Oh, I'm married. I got this. I got my wedding pictures," but they don't want to put the work in.
People want a wedding, but don't necessarily want a marriage, and that's because, that's what we've been shown.
Yeah,
you know, that's what we've been shown for, you know, since we were kids.
So here's what I'm gonna challenge people. Everybody that's watching this, I'm gonna challenge you. You could do it tomorrow. I say do it either once a week or every day, right? Find something that you don't necessarily want to do, right? And do it, right? Start building up that kind of tenacity, that discipline in yourself to say, just because I don't feel like doing something, I'm not going to do it, right? Even if it's, okay, I'm reading a book. Bam. I'm reading 10 minutes every day, right? I'm reading 10 minutes today, right? Or I'm going to do a different workout that I know that's going to be tough, right? Or I'm gonna call somebody or apologize to them or ask for their forgiveness. I'm gonna do something that's gonna be difficult outside of my comfort zone, right? That's eternally gonna make me better, even when I don't feel like it.
Carla, so just join the room, but don't click the request. Something's going on with my request. It's kind of funny. So if you leave, come back in. Don't click request. I will just send you an invite when you join. When you join the room, I'll send you an invite, and then maybe that'll bring you on. We'll try that. Otherwise, maybe it's just, you know, it's not meant to be.
Well, actually, otherwise, just actually love to start the live up and then ask y'all to just request him and see if that works.
What do you mean?
Like,
okay,
he loves to start the live up.
Just in case we have to just turn the live off, go ahead and follow right here, Kaz TV. Follow Chris. I mean, if you probably already do. And we will be joining this. We will be starting this over if we cannot get her on. I'm going to come off, come right back on. So make sure you do that just in case. Carla, are you in the room? Okay, she's in. Just sent the request. She's going to restart the live.
All right.
All right. We'll see you back here in a second. Sent that request. There we go. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
that worked.
Okay.
Who knows?
All right. Okay. Sorry. Let me bring Chris on.
Hi, Chris.
How you doing?
There he is.
Hey, where's Chris King?
Oh.
Let's see. Okay, I'll send Chris King an invite.
Let's see if he works.
Someone's gonna have to hop on when we start getting requests. Someone's gonna have to hop off when we start getting requests. But
Oh.
Man, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think maybe someone didn't want me on after your last other lady attorney guest. Maybe,
Oh,
maybe the powers that be were afraid at my input to that one.
Yeah, that might have been
you're an attorney too,
Yep.
right?
Yes, I am. I'm a licensed attorney, practicing in real estate and estate planning on my own schedule, around my kids and my real life. Yeah, I might not be litigating the heck out of the Department of Justice, but I've got a 33-year fire happy marriage with 11 kids, and I don't know what's going on. That gal looked like she was about 30 something. I've talked about this before. 20 somethings are willing to listen and learn. The 30 somethings double down on their mistakes and want people to approve their mistakes more than just wanting their mistakes approved. They want the rest of the world to tell them, that they should do it too. Right. And it's all okay. I don't understand that point of view. I also don't understand, if you were physically abused, why you start out with being asked why you get divorced. And her first answer, gentlemen, was because he bought a truck and my formal dining room didn't have furniture in it. Really? That's what you do first before he physically abused you? That's a red flag to me. I have a problem with that. If that's what you're leading with, and then 10 minutes later it's, oh, and he physically abused me. Oh, and there was you're automatically suspect in my book. I'm sorry. That's a problem. Okay? That's a problem. If I know women right now who are separated from their husbands, but are not getting divorced because they believe in the sanctity of marriage, and they believe that this is spiritual warfare, and that they have to go to the wall to save their marriage, and honestly to save their husband's soul. Okay? I got 3 women I could talk to right now who I'm helping mentor through this situation, as are a lot of other Christian Catholic women that we have a ministry for this. It's not that you're not happy, and it's not that you stay and get physically abused. There are remedies, there is help out there, but the help is not saying, if you're not happy and you think your thing is not working, have a failed marriage and be proud about it. That's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous way to run a society, and that is a formula for unhappy men and unhappy women who are then end up being broken before they can have a legacy and have a chance at marital success.
And then, I mean, a lot of times people will go into another marriage after that without doing any homework and fixing that, that baggage and stuff like that. So yeah, I see. I mean, I know the stats go up the more times you get divorced, the less likely the next one is to work out.
You're bringing the same person to every situation. You can't say it's the other person, because there's always a dynamic in a marriage between 2 people. Right. I don't, the abuse, the A words are thrown around a lot: abuse, adultery, etc. I wasn't there. I don't know her reality, but I know the reality of the women who I talk to, and several of them in this bad situation realize that they're there partially, not all, because of years of emotional neglect of their husband on their parts. For pushing him aside and throwing themselves all into the children. Okay. Not giving him crumbs of affection, being so tapped out between work and children and the world. And a man's just supposed to sit around and take that for a decade, but she gets to leave if she's not happy. It's a double standard, and I used to try to pussyfoot around it a little more, but I'm old now and I don't have to anymore. Okay. I'm going to tell the truth here. Everyone has accountability for themselves.
Right.
And the only person, my grandpa used to tell me that look in the mirror. That's the source of all your joys and all your sorrows. And it's the only one you can do anything about.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say to my dying day, the man is the one who gets the woman into the marriage, because he's the one who proposes still 99.9% of the time.
Most of the time.
99.9, right? There's a few
Yeah.
outliers. There always are. That's fine. But once that marriage happens, the woman is the keeper of the relationship. The energy, the outlook she brings is, again, 99.9% going to be given back to her by her man. Okay?
I got a question. So,
Yeah.
because, I mean, you know, in today's society, people love to say the man is the leader, the man's the leader, the man's the leader. So when you say the woman kind of, would you say specifically, you said that she sets the atmosphere, I guess, in the relationship, in the marriage? Kind of go into deeper.
I will say that. I will, because a man has spent his whole life up till he leaves his home trying to make his mom happy, right? That's what you guys do. If you love your mom, you're trying to make her happy. You marry, and yes, they're the leader morally, spiritually. They're in charge of the home. But men still respond to the energy of women. They respond to the outlook of women. Okay? A woman comes home beaten and dragged down every day. That is going to be an unhappy man. The opposite doesn't necessarily happen. I know many marriages where that man is out busting his butt every day for his wife and children, and she's smiling at home, and boom, he turns on a dime. He's happy to be there. He's loving on his children. He's doing that. It is a male-female dynamic, and it doesn't have anything necessarily to do with headship. It's about, what does the feminine spirit call forth from that man she's living with, who has pledged his life to her, right? He did the first part. I've pledged my life, my protection, my provision, my love to you and the children. To some extent, now they've checked that box off. Check, I did my guy part. Check, what does the woman now do? I got to give you the respect back that you deserve because you said that, and you're going to do that. I'm giving you that energy back that the world saps out of you. It is our job as women, listen, I don't know if you heard, I'm a practicing attorney with only 6 kids at home under the age of 18 right now, okay? But it is my responsibility as a wife to keep enough energy in order to be a joyful, smiling, inspirational presence to my husband and my children every day. That is my number one job. If I can fit a little law work around the corners, peachy, pays for my daughter's cheer and volleyball, okay? But that's number one. And my husband has told me he would rather have me not working at all if I couldn't do that at the same time. He'll figure out the money. He said, we'll figure it out. Don't worry. If you can't, if you can't do that, stop. But I need you. I want you. He goes, my measure of success is your happiness. And when you keep smacking a man with unhappiness and anger, and I'm dissatisfied, and my life sucks, and you wear him away. You carve out his heart. Okay? And my husband's told me I am the emotional barometer for our family.
Wow.
He's not. He can be in a cranky, cracky mood. He's just,
wow.
He has been.
So it sounds to me kind of, you know, a lot of times at the surface level, when people hear these feminine, masculine dynamics, there's usually this like kind of subjection, you know, kind of rhetoric that resonates in their mind when they hear that. But now that you're saying this, it almost sounds kind of like, hey, you have more power than you think you do if you wield it the right way.
So the submission part is realizing that you, woman, need to do something in order to inspire and invite a response from your man. You have to go first. You notice Paul did not say husbands be, he didn't talk about the husbands first. Who did he talk first about in that letter?
The
Us, me, wives. Okay. Submission is going first. And then he is supposed to respond to us the way Christ responds to the church, with love, with devotion, with sacrifice. Okay. It is very, very hard for a man to respond that way without a woman smiling at him when he comes home, without a greeting at the door, without a, God, hun, you do this every day for us. Thank you. Thank you so much. The kids appreciate it. I appreciate it. In a way that I don't need appreciation like that for the checks I bring in to pay for the cheer stuff. Okay. I need his love and his devotion and that, and then, however that works is fine. But this is a calling forth, and I am going to challenge women. You have to, the submission is calling forth his devotion. What can you do for your man that calls forth that hero, that leader, that lover, that provider and protector?
So someone commented, and she asked, and this is where I think that some of the confusion may be. She said, a man is supposed to seek his woman, though. So a woman can be doing that, and if he comes home with a bad attitude, how is that worthy of my submission or worthy of submission?
It's worthy the minute he put that ring on the finger for the whole time. I don't care what the mood he's in. It makes no difference. You pick your attitude, woman. You pick what you want him to respond to. And if you give a smile back to that cranky attitude, it happens. That's what he responds to. If you want to get into a contest of wills, no, you're in bad mood. Now I'm going to be in a worse mood. And now I'm not going to do anything until you do something. Why are we doing this to each other? Yeah. Submission is you being soft enough to say, wow, what a cruddy day, babe. That's just rough.
I didn't mean to read that in a in a weird way.
Yeah.
If you want to hop on, you can hop on and talk, any women or men really that want to ask her any of these questions. I think these are good teaching points, because I think there's a lot of confusion out there, and I think that's where we need to kind of talk about these things.
It's a confusion, sadly, though, brought up by women who are my age. I'm in my 50s, okay? It's women 50s, 60s who've been lying to these women in their 30s and 20s and telling them, don't do anything until he deserves it. Don't give him any appreciation until he does something to appreciate. Why are you appreciating his paycheck? You bring your own paycheck. Okay, like how's this working for us?
Yeah.
It's working like the last woman who was here, who again started off with, he didn't buy me furniture. Yeah. Like that's not a biblical reason or a moral or an ethical reason to divorce. Oh, wait. Oh, then 10 minutes later you said he was physically abusive. Okay. What are you as a woman bringing to your marriage that is inspiring your husband to be that kind of man that you want him to be? I'm a smiler. Okay. I got smile lines now around because I smile. That's what I do. And my husband says it was something that initially attracted him to me. We married, he was 23, I was 21. And he still says that smile can make a bad day turn good the minute he sees it. Do you think my children are going to want to do things when I'm screaming at them and acting like a harpy and doing? No. A gentle, grateful spirit brings forth that which we want to see more of in the world.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
If you can tell me this tit for tat attitude, this I'm not going to go till he goes, him being the leader means he does everything. It's ladies, we were created last. Adam was first, we were last. We are the ones that God said the buck stops here. You have the power.
I was gonna ask. So I saw a post today, like on TikTok, about a woman posted it saying that she's about submission and like I can't submit. A man, pretty much saying like a man should make her submit. Like she won't be submissive until a man shows that he can lead, and then she'll be able to submit. What do
Okay,
you
there's
think about
always
that notion?
a grain of truth, a grain there, right? A man who, you know, like a super red pilled guy, right? He's going to be very into forcing submission, okay? And he wants it before he puts the ring on the finger in order to prove that, okay? There is a when you get together to a marriage, and again, the dear lady who was on before, what did you guys talk about when you were dating? Like, I was 21 years old. My husband was 23. We had no money. We were still in school, but we had rock solid things that had been discussed and were in common, and that we knew we were both aiming for. And we took off from there, right? What do these people talk about before they get married? Like, she knew, my husband and I discussed, we were both in law school. I had a higher GPA than he did, and I was top 10% of my class, and he was not.
I see.
And we had to discuss who's going to work. Are we both going to work? Are you going to work? Who's going to work? I mean, I said, I want to have babies and I want to have the option to stay home with them. So we're going all in on your career, mister. All in. And guess what? Best thing I ever did in my entire life was tell him, I believe in you. You're going to take care of that. And guess what? He rose to that occasion and became that leader and became the man who supported a wife and 11 children, not being in the top 10% of his law school class. Surprise! Because that's, again, people rely too much on that. I'll take a hard worker over someone with a higher IQ any day. Yeah. And my husband was the hardest working man I had ever seen in my entire life. And I wanted to get on that train. He said, this is where my train is going. I want you to come with. Are you in? And I said, heck yes. And that's why you're going to be the one who I moved 5 times in 7 years for his career in the first 7 years of marriage. I had 1 baby on one coast, 1 baby on another coast. I was picking up part-time jobs to pay off student loans. And he just retired after 33 years of government service. And we had a big dinner, right? And they gave him plaques and they did nice stuff. And our whole family was there and all his coworkers and all the high muckety mucks. And that man started out his speech where he was talking about that and his retrospective. He started out that speech with, before I begin, I just want to say, without Carla by my side, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
Everything I'm going to tell you over 33 years wouldn't have happened. And he said, she's the love of my life. And I need her by my side every day. And she's made all the difference. And he said, and every time I picked something, every time I decided what we were going to do, and I said, what do you think? She said, heck yes. And we did it. And he goes, and that made all the difference. Now, I've done some decent things in my life. I'm I'm not one of these people that hides actual accomplishments, but I would give up every other thing I've ever done just for that. It was the most beautiful moment in 30 years, other than the day we got married. And I want that for other women. I want that.
That's your motivation. And that's where the passion comes from, is you want that for other women. And that's where we would say, any women in the comments that, or in the room, that would like to share their story, maybe where things took a left turn for you, or if you're confused, but if you've heard this in the world, and click the camera button to request to join, will bring you on, and then talk about it with her, because she can probably give better insight than we can.
But like you said, like, you went into the marriage to be that helpmate, to serve, right? Not what you can get back. What can I give you? What can I help build your vision, your purpose? What can I pour into you, right? Without that condition of, if you treat me right, if you serve me, if you do all these things in return. You gave that, and in return, he, because of the man he is, because the man of God he is, he said, I have to honor her because of what she did, because of the sacrifice she made. I have to kick into another gear to take care of my family, to take care of my kids, to do all these things. Because, like, when we receive that, like you said, and I know Zach can attest to this, man, when you have a wife and kids, you become a whole different, like, beast, right? Like, the man you thought you was and could have been operating at a certain level, man, you take that to the whole nother level, because now you know, man, this woman is trusting me, right? God is trusting this woman and these kids, like, with my leadership, right? I have to do my part, right? Just being a man of God, I have to die for my woman. I have to die for my kids.
So, Chris,
I have to do anything I possibly can do in order to make this work.
Chris and C-Love, if you had a wife that said the things that she was saying to her husband, would you be more motivated to do what you need to do? Or would you feel like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to walk all over? Because that's the lie that's spoken to a lot of women is, well, if I do that, then he's just going to walk all over me. So let me ask you guys, would there be anything in your mind that says, oh, she's so easy, she is so positive to me and kind to me that I'm just going to walk all over her? Would you,
man,
do
no.
that?
No.
But here's the difference, and I think that's why, as a woman, like, you got to understand, like, and that's why that vetting process is important, because you got to look at that man's character, right? Some men are going to do that, right? They're going to walk all over you if they get that version of you. And that kind of man, you don't need to get in a relationship. You definitely don't need to marry, right? But if you see a man that lives by honor and integrity and character and doing the right thing even when nobody's looking, that's the type of man that's going to be like, you know what? I have to honor you. I have to serve you in return. So now it is reciprocated. When you go in with the intention of, oh, you do for me and I do for you, tick for tat, then it's never going to work. But if you go in and say, I need to love you like Christ loves me, and that person comes in with the same mindset, man, it's beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing that ever was created.
Right. So both people have to go into the relationship in good faith.
Yeah.
Right. I think a lot of times, like, we're dating and it's like both parties are fearful, or she's fearful. She doesn't want to get hurt again. You know, it's a lot of that going on. So
you're
you gotta have good
fearful. They're fearful. They're hiding, and they're transactional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with
Explain
modern dating.
Explain that.
That's the problem with modern dating. You're going in fearful because you've been hurt a gazillion times, and you're expecting to be hurt again. It's transactional because the woman's so in her masculine, all she wants to do. Listen, law school almost beat all the female out of me. Okay, that's its job.
Yeah,
that's its job, is to make you a lean, mean, masculine arguing machine.
Yeah,
and you know, it took a while to dump that and realize that was not serving me in there. But I see woman after woman that goes into relationships fearful because of their past, because they've had a gazillion people, because they made stupid decisions and had their hot girl summers, and, oh, I'm not even going to look for a guy till I'm 30, you know, and then what happens? So fearful, transactional, and what was my third one, guys? It was
Fearful, transactional, and
I can't remember the other one, but
something. Yeah.
What she said,
it's
y'all remember?
it's a huge, yeah, someone put it up there for me.
Yeah.
It's a huge issue because you're going into it, you're in hiding. That was the third one. You're hiding. You're hiding who you really are, what you really want, and you're hiding it from each other because you're only letting her see the best little parts of you because you want it, and then she's only letting you see the best parts, the pretty parts, the cutesy parts, not the I'm gonna lose my stuff and yell at you all night. We're hiding. We're not being honest, and it's based in fear because we've spent too much time on stupid transitory relationships so that we cannot vet a man or a woman properly. We're jumping into the sack too fast, so we're blinded by the physical attraction. Not that I don't think physical attraction is important. I say this all the time to my Christian brothers and sisters who say, oh, but as long as he's a godly man, that's more important. You'll grow to love him later. No, sorry, you need to be attracted right on. Listen, 33 years I've been doing this. You don't get through hard days if you don't think he or she is worth it, physically as well as mentally and spiritually. Otherwise, you should just have the best friend.
She's not saying instead of, she's saying as
in
well
addition.
as.
Yeah, it's critical. The church is going too far the other way. I get it. They're reacting to we hop into bed after date number 2. I get it. We need to react to that. But on the other side, saying that physical attraction is not important and you guys can just be best friends and godly roommates. And no, you're married. Stop it. Marriage is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Has that little extra oomph to make up for on those hard days.
So
that little extra something that you can't get with anyone else in the entire universe. That's got to be worth something.
So, C-Love, we got someone that just needs to hop on. I know you said you had to go to a barbershop, like what, 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 9 now.
So I'll go ahead and let you hop off so that I can bring this guy on real quick.
All right.
All right, man.
All right.
See you. All right. So, this guy that commented said, attraction is not unimportant. You're right.
Right.
So, let's see. Don't do this again now. Since you're there, I'll send you the request. What's his name? Joel something. I don't see him anymore. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Is it working? Is it bringing me on? Hold on.
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, hey.
I see you.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hello, sir.
Hi. I hope I'm not interrupting a point that was being made. This phone usually isn't good for hopping in on lives, but I did have a thought. But I can wait if somebody was making a point.
No, go for it.
So I left a comment just a few moments ago, basically saying when it comes to romantic relationships or relationships in general, first and foremost, I'm a believer, and I gave my life to Christ when I was a child, but I didn't fully surrender my life to Christ until I was about 17 years old. But what I found to be the ultimate authority in what works and everything, from romantic relationships to friendships to anything in this life that may bring about confusion or may bring about questions, the Word of God. You know, the word of God, we're all believers, right, in this life,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
assuming. So the word of God is the ultimate authority for our lives.
Right.
And it should be for our romantic relationships as well as our expectations for those relationships. So I believe that the word of God takes all the guesswork out of any question that we can bring up, you know what I'm saying, over the course of this live, or just in general. Um, I feel like if both people in a relationship, husband and wife, are following the tenets of Scripture, following the words of Jesus, living 1 Corinthians 13, you're gonna have a fruitful relationship.
Right.
You're gonna have a fruitful marriage. You're going to see the Word of God
Right.
literally fulfill
Right.
itself.
Right.
So the Word of God takes the guesswork out of it. So yeah, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. You're good. We agree 100% on that, and that's what we've been preaching here too. And I agree with you 100%.
And that's and you're saying beautiful, inspirational, true things. And why don't we say those and talk about those 99% of the time instead of bringing up the 1% of times when someone goes off the rail and things go bad and terrible things happen. This gal was in the comments saying, "What if he beat you and caused you to lose a pregnancy?" And for 5
Well, you
years
know
through
what?
this,
Here's the thing.
like, listen, that I know unfortunate things happen, but not 99% of the time. Let's talk about what's good, true, beautiful, inspirational, and not always have to bring up the psychopath, sadly, some people marry.
Well, so I understand if that was her experience and that was her reality, that's why she's bringing it up. But there's an answer for that too, and it all goes back to the word. Is the point that I'm trying to establish? Everything about our lives should go back to the word. So even the things that don't make sense, and well, then why did this and that happen? It's because that man was not living in obedience to Christ.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if he wasn't going to do it upon his own free will because he's wrapped up in his flesh, then he needs his wife to be praying for him. And I'm not saying that she wasn't.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
I'll definitely come on. Can y'all bring her on so that she can also speak, you know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about her comment, and I would love to hear from her.
Right. Let me
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if your thing is causing like a delay on my end, but let me see if I can switch you guys and bring her on real quick. And then if you send
Yeah,
a request,
yeah. You're not delaying on my. Okay. All right.
Okay. Let me see. Boom. Let's see if she can join. Let's see. Boom. Let's see who all is here. Ba, 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 ba. All right, send her an invite. People are asking. I know you said you're at the gym. Oh,
No, I just left
oh,
actually,
what'd
so
you
don't
work
mind
today?
my sweaty forehead. It's big, y'all. It's cool.
What'd you work today?
Huh?
What did you work today?
Oh, I do a lot of cardio. Like after having my kids, I just got really big, so I'm just
Got you.
yeah.
So
So
what's your name? Where are you from?
you know where I'm from, Cass. No, I'm just kidding. I'm from Louisiana originally. But my name
Oh,
is
wait,
Livy.
were you on last week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
That's why I brought up the
okay.
question
I
because
remember. I
last
remember
week
now. Okay.
when
Yep.
$1 million question, and I put my information in there in regards to what I had gone through in the past because of the fact of in response to the conversation we had last week.
Okay.
He brought you on because he felt as though he agrees with the things that you know, your opinion and what you know are saying. I feel like a lot of the times in this world, us as Christians, we may not have experienced the trauma or the things that somebody else has gone through. So when we relay a message, it becomes diluted by the way that our message is given. And the reason that I said I would hop on is because the way you responded to my question without knowing the background of why I asked that
Who?
question.
Who?
I'm not sure of her name.
I'm Carla. Hi.
Miss Carla. Hi, nice to meet you, Miss Carla.
You too, man.
So
But
yeah,
I think the best thing
that's why
about
I wanted to bring you
the best
on.
thing about
So
being
just to give some
realistic is
background,
that
just to give some background, last week, and I don't want to go into this rabbit hole again, but we can
right.
if you guys want to go there. But the topic came up. Someone asked, "What are the biblical reasons for a divorce?"
And we agree that in the Bible it does state
of the
that
biblical reasons. And
right.
then the question came up, "What about abuse?" And then
right. And that question was not
I
brought
don't-
up by me. However, I was in the chat and I responded.
So
because
I'm just giving a framework. I'm just giving a framework. Just giving a framework of the topics. So we talked about abuse. Is it biblical or is it not biblical to get divorced and break the covenant? And so that's where the question came into, well, what do I do? What, blah, 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 blah. My stance on it is separate, but don't break the covenament. That's just my opinion.
And I guess my response to that is how do you separate?
Like
because then you're committing adultery, right?
Your personal story.
If you're in response to separating, I completely understand. But if you're in an abusive relationship, as I was, and as Miss Carla put it, I was physically abused to the point where I was losing children. And I feel as though when you say separate and you're saying, well, you can't get divorced because of this. Okay, so if that person leaves, if you separate and he's in one house and I'm in another house, right? That becomes adultery because then you're doing your own thing and you're saying, well, we're separated and I'm not in my house because of the fact that I don't want to be abused, but I can't divorce him. Like that.
But when does it become adultery?
Because if you're in a separate house from your abuser, right?
Okay.
And you're living like that for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, you're
living like that for the rest of your life.
Okay.
And
I know two women who are living separate from their husbands because they've left them for other women. One situation was physically abusive, one was not. And they are standing for their marriage. The men have gone on to others. They've been celibate.
That doesn't even go with what he said though, because
they're being faithful to their vows. They're relying on Jesus, and they are not remarrying. They're not.
But in the Bible,
anyone.
You're able to leave, and this is scripture. You are allowed to leave your marriage if your husband leaves you. So that your situation with your friends, I think that. So,
but I guess the question I'm asking is this though. Regardless of what these other women are doing, my question is: you mentioned something about adultery. If you're living separate. Where does adultery come in?
Because if you're living separate and someone's I just don't agree with that whole. Overall, clearly, I don't agree with it.
I'm just wondering where the adultery part comes in.
Because if you're living separate for the rest of your lives, you're telling me that you're never going to entertain the idea of being with someone else.
If you're in covenant, you shouldn't.
Right.
So it's okay for a man to beat me, and I just leave and stay tight for the rest of my life.
It's not okay.
No, I wasn't finished talking. You guys were interrupting.
But you asserted that we were saying it's okay for a man to beat you, and we're saying no.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, that's not the point.
I wasn't done talking. You guys interrupted.
But that's not what we're saying.
But you interrupted. I wasn't done talking.
But if you say a lie that or misunderstanding that you're saying, hey, you're saying this, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying it's okay.
No one said that. I said if someone is beating me and I choose to live in a different house, how am I to be tethered to a man that physically, emotionally, spiritually, every type of abuse that you can even think of, did these things to me, and I'm supposed to be still tied to him for the rest of my life?
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
I'm not saying those things are good. I'm not saying go back and live with the guy. I'm saying
I know that, but that wasn't.
I'm saying this. All I'm saying is this. First of all, if all that happens, I'm sorry, that's not good. Okay, wasn't there? I don't know. Well, it's not good. I'm sorry that he abused you spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally.
But you guys are telling me I have to stay married to this man. That's what you're telling me.
No, I'm saying that, well, that's not a reason to go marry someone else.
No, absolutely not. I went through, and she's shaking her head, but I went through this for 5 years. And that's how you can tell someone's dense to the idea of what someone else is actually experiencing.
So let me thank you for sharing.
I'm saying, I'm literally telling you what I'm being very transparent, and I haven't actually talked about this to anyone, and maybe I should, but I'm being 1000% transparent with saying these are the things that I've gone through in my life, right?
I'm so sorry for your horrible things you went through. But because I'm gonna jump in because you're telling your story and that's your truth and you want to know about your truth. So the truth for my husband was my husband's dad beat his mom and she left after 2 kids, and she stayed faithful to him. And he came back 10 years later.
No, she didn't, because she left. She left. That's not saying
she didn't sleep with anyone and didn't date anyone, honey. Faithful means faithful.
How do you know exactly what she did, though?
Because she lived with me in my house when she was 90 years old on hospice and told me her whole life.
But you don't know that for a fact, because it's not your story. It's not your story, so you have no idea what she may have done when
everybody,
you were with her.
Hold up.
You don't want to hear my story.
The whole point she's saying is this. Abuse is wrong. Abuse is bad. The point that you disagreed with me on, and probably with her on too, was you said, wait, so you're saying I can't even entertain the fact of being with someone else? No, you're married.
No, I'm not anymore, actually. But when I was married,
in that scenario, I'm not talking about you right now. I'm saying in that scenario, if you said, hey, I'm married to someone who's abusive
don't understand.
in these ways.
I feel like it's because you guys don't understand how deep and how far that can go. If you have a man that is physically stalking you even after you leave, and
call the police.
For my example,
call the police.
That's kind of like you saying go to the church. In the last live, right?
No, I say you should go to the church, and I said you should go to the police.
Like, this is why no one can get what I'm saying, because you guys aren't allowing me to productively speak and get it out and let me be able to finish what I'm saying. You keep cutting me off.
I will, but just don't say that I'm saying something that I'm not saying.
This is exactly in this like, y'all not listening. And this is exactly why people stray away from the church, because you guys think that you're right in everything you're saying, but you can't even let me get a word out.
You think you're right too, sweetie.
There we go.
You think you're right.
There we go. Like,
you think you're right. I think I'm right. You think she's right. Where do we go?
And this is exactly why I don't do it anymore, because you guys are sitting here telling me, and you won't even let me speak. And she's smiling with this condescending look, and it's not okay.
Okay,
it's not okay.
Look. Say everything you want to say. Sorry for interrupting. You will not be interrupted again.
At this point, I'm good.
I'm good. I'm just going to ask that you just don't tell me
I just feel like
what I'm saying if I didn't say that.
At this point, I'm not even going to I promise you, I swear on my life, I'm not even going to join this live anymore, because it's the fact that you guys aren't listening. You guys aren't listening. Every time I try to say something, you guys aren't. I'm good. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to let you say lies about us. So if you're going to hop on and say, you said this, and I didn't say that, I'm going to say, wait, no, stop, and then continue your story. But if you're going to tell me that I said,
she kind of said the same thing 4 times, starting off the same way, and that's not the case. I'm going to tell the story of when my husband's dad beat his mom for years, and she left after 10 years with 2 young children, and she stayed faithful, and they got back together and then had my husband. Okay? My husband would not exist if my mother-in-law did not believe in her marriage vows and separated physically so she would not be beaten, but made the effort to be the one to stand for her marriage when he was not in a good mental place to do so, because he was a World War II veteran and Battle of the Bulge, PTSD, drinking. It broke her heart that he was abusive.
Right.
She knew that wasn't the man she married.
Right.
And it was terrible and painful. and they got back together and things were good for a while. Then when my husband came along, because his brothers are 12 and 14 years older than him, and then they went bad again, but she stayed again.
Right.
And then when he died, she went to him as he was dying and said, John, I forgive you.
Wow.
I know this wasn't you. I know this was the terrible things that happened to you in the war. I know this isn't the real you that I married. So I'm going to forgive you, and I hope to see you in heaven one day, John.
Wow.
And then he died. Tell me how the world doesn't need more of that. I am so sorry for women who undergo abuse. I'm sorry for men who undergo abuse, because it does go the other way. And I'm so sorry, ma'am, that you didn't feel heard. But being heard and being approved are two different things.
And there was somebody here that said, I don't think you're ready to talk about your experience in a mature way. You're hurting and it shows. That's true. I think here's the deal. If the standard for whether or not someone can tell me this is the right or wrong decision is based upon if they've done this in my shoes before, that's not right. And here's the crazy thing. You even try to explain to her about how you know someone who went through the same thing, and then she cut you off and said, oh, no, she probably cheated on her. How do you don't know that there was an adultery and all this? And that shows that there's some scar there that she was bothered by, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But
it's just unfortunate because, again, the prevailing wisdom is that women get to say whatever they want. And again, if they're challenged a little bit, if they are not 1,000% validated in every single thing they did, that means the person is wrong. And let's get past that to where we can say difficult things happen, terrible things happen, bad things happen, but there are principles we need to look at. And the principle is that when you make a covenant in front of God and society, you need to stand for that covenant. And of course, there's degrees, and you have to stay safe. You don't get to be abused. Kids don't get to be abused.
Right.
But I really don't understand why that means you get to run out and get divorced and try again with another guy who you hope isn't going to do the same thing.
Right.
We need to vet people well enough and bring our healthiest selves to a marriage so that we can make this heaven on earth, not hell on earth. Right. And I just want more women to see the possibility of the good men who are out there and treating them the right way so you can get to this other side. Listen, there's going to be a day when if you leave someone, nobody's going to want you, okay? This lie that we can all get someone and you can look right, like, stop it. You can play around with that now in your 30s due to plastic surgery and all these other things. But there comes a time when you need to know that you've crested up that hill, that thing, and then it's going down that other side, okay? In age, in physical and mental energy. Right. Okay?
I guess my question is this. And you're an attorney, so you probably know these numbers better than I do, right? And this is the last thing I'll talk about on this topic. When it comes to the physical abuse, right? How common is that in these marriages? Are there any signs statistically that show, or is it like, hey, these women are getting married to these great guys that don't show these signs, and then they just flip a 180 on them, and now they're these abusive guys? Because if that's the case, if that's truly the case, then I can understand why, a lot of women have an issue with physical abuse not being a straightaway answer of automatic broken the covenant, not separation, but just I can break the covenant and marry someone else. Is that a statistic? Is that something you're familiar with? Or like that happens often where guy shows no signs of that, shows the opposite signs, and then he just does a 180.
So I'm gonna give you my personal experience from the marriage coaching perspective and space I've been in, rather than an attorney, because I don't do family law. I don't do that. There is a very, very small percentage of pathological liars who can manage to keep it together through a year or two of dating and hook a woman and then turn a 180. Again, I will say, I like to talk about the 99%. That doesn't happen 99% of the time. Is there a 1% situation where that happens? Yes. What happens more often is the terrible things of life get to you. They get to a man. They get to a woman. They get to a family. They get intertwined with other conflicts. Mm-hmm. They get entwined with other addictions. Used to only be alcohol. Now there's drugs. Now there's porn. Now there's all these other things. And you know what there is too? There is a percentage of women who said, in the past, I would have told you I was abused physically and or verbally. And now 10 years later, I realized that this was a dynamic between the two of us, and it wasn't just him. He got mad, and I pursued him into the other room when he tried to leave. And I got up in his face. And he wanted to try to get away from me and have some quiet and settle down. And I went and I yelled in his face and I stuck my hand in his face and I did that to him.
Right.
And now 10 years later, I see that. And sometimes they left that first marriage and they don't see it till this situation replicated itself in marriage number 2. And then they go, what do these things have in common? Oh, me. Okay. Now this does not happen all the time. And I'm not blaming every woman. I am just saying I've seen in the marriage coaching space many women stating that previously when I was younger and less mature, I thought it was all him. And now that I'm older and I've been alone, or I've got another marriage, or I've done the work on myself, I realized it's partially me.
Now help me understand. Now there's one thing you talked about the followed him into the room and got in his face thing. Touch on that and help me understand and help the audience understand, is that a big deal? He's not justified in hitting after that.
He's never justified. No spouse is justified in having a physical altercation with another spouse, whether it's a slap, whether it's a push, whether it's a grab a hair. Neither spouse is entitled to do that.
Yeah.
But
why does that instigate it? Help people who don't know understand. Is it a difference in men and women that a man would react differently to that than a woman would react if someone got up in her face like that? Or
partially yes, but the main thing is, especially when it happens in a marriage, is that he feels he cannot handle that disapproval and that anger focused on him from a woman he once loved and pledged his life to. It literally short circuits their brain. And again, I'm not talking about one-time thing. This is usually time after time after time after time again. And it wears him down to where he makes a terrible decision in that moment because he just can't deal anymore. Most of the time I have heard of and I've seen shoving, because he just can't handle all that anger and screaming. You've seen some of these women on the internet. the screaming, the almost like demonic level of yelling and screeching. I used to be a yeller. My mom was a yeller. Okay. I used to see my dad sitting on a stiff back chair against a wall with his eyes focused at a point over her shoulder across the room as she harangued him mercilessly for hours.
Ouch.
2 to 3 hours of yelling at him, screaming at him. And he sat there and he had his arms down and he looked and he wouldn't say a word. Well, that's one way to handle it. Some men can't do that. And I think we need to understand that there's dynamics at work and realize that very, very few things in life are 100% one way, 100% another. And again, I'm not saying you stay and take it. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that there are marriage is worth fighting for. The soul of the person who you loved so much that you could not wait to marry them and promise to spend forever. That's worth something. That's a fight for you as a man, for a woman who goes off the rails, and plenty of women do at my age. Plenty of women go off the rails. Okay? They have affairs. They say they never loved them. The kids move out. They go have a good time. Again, at that retirement dinner with my husband, 2 awesome guys were there. Both their wives left after the kids left. Said, that's it. I'm done. I want to go have my hot girl summer when I'm 49 now, because I never got the chance to do it before. And these men are just like, are you kidding? Like they had no idea what was hitting them. So there's things go both ways. We can only control ourselves. You shouldn't stay and be abused, but we can't have the default in our society be that if we are not happy at the moment, and if things are not working out the easy way we want, and if a bad thing happens that we contribute, that means it's all over. We can't have that. It's a disaster for society, and it's a disaster for children. And I will tell you the crappy part about the divorce in the case of abuse thing is, do you know you're now sending your children to that man's house with no supervision for him to possibly beat on them so you get to be safe and at home, but you're sending your kids to him every other weekend and for weeks during the summer, and that's somehow okay?
So let me ask you this. Let's just get straight to it. Let me figure out how to word this. When people get desperate and desperately are unhappy, do you think that sometimes a man or a woman will throw out the A word to get the approval of people to leave?
Yes, 100%, men or women, absolutely. Because it makes it's you can't fight against that. Everybody knows. Well, of course you can't stay for that. Well, of course. It's bandied about too much.
So what?
And it's also not taken seriously enough. It's
yeah, and so
yeah.
that's why I'm just kind of like, so if that let's just say if we open that door, are there people who will say, I'll just say this. I know people, and I know through history, there have been people, women and men, but we'll use women in this scenario, that claimed so-and-so RAPE'd me. And the case was, especially here where I live, oh, your parents found out that you decided to sleep with someone of another race, and now you want to say, instead of you decided to do that, you want to say, oh, well, that person RAPED'd me. Everybody has the capacity to lie. I'm not saying that we should just wipe off every time someone says something as a lie and say, oh, well, the real reason you want to leave is because you're just not, you're selfish. But I would say that if somebody says, if a marriage is not pleasing you or serving you right, you have the right to leave. And then on top of that, they throw the A word thing. Now, if someone says, hey, I don't, but we had a woman that came on last week that said, hey, I actually was A worded or abused, you know, and I
Tell Dad I'll be done in 5 minutes.
that I shouldn't have gotten a divorce, but I did. And I agree in what you guys are saying. And I've actually been in that situation. Yeah. Now, for the people in the comments that say, "Oh, well, that you know, that's just one person," I will just say she was the only person who also came on and said, "It's not about my own happiness. It's not about this. It's not about happy ever after and whether things are working better for me or not." She literally said, "You know, it happened to me. I did get a divorce. I am separated, but it probably wasn't the right thing to do." She owned up to it. And that's why, you know, I just kind of think, you know, how do you distinguish between, if you open the door and just say, yeah, it's abuse, it's just, when you open the door and say abuse, which is kind of a vague word, it opens up the door for anyone to make that claim. And
yeah,
it's just kind of, to me, it throws off my red flags when I hear someone say, this guy was lovely, this guy was amazing, this guy was this. And then once we got married, he was abusive physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. That doesn't make, I'll just be honest, and it doesn't matter because I'm not God. I'm not the one to judge.
right.
I don't believe that. I don't believe when if a guy tells me, man, she was amazing, she was a woman of God, she had accountability in her life, and then she just randomly decided, I'm going to go cheat here, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that, I'm going to do, and now she's just this terrible person. I don't believe that. I don't think you properly vetted that person.
Yeah, especially on the front end, right? Especially on the front end. One of the couples who I talked about, who the woman left in her late 40s to go have her hot girl summer that she said she never had after being married for 25 years.
Wait, so there was a woman that came to you and said that?
Oh, I mean, that's what happened. Yeah. She admitted that was why she was leaving. She wanted to go have more fun. But the problem was they lost a child together. They had a 7-year-old who died, and it changed her. She at that point said, nothing's worth it. I don't believe in God anymore. He took my baby, and now nothing matters except my pleasure in the moment. Okay. That's what happened. And that's very common actually with couples whose children have died. Those marriages have an astronomically high divorce rate. I don't know if I mentioned to you before, one of our, when I say I have 11 children, 10 are here on this earth with me. My 2.5-year-old died 10 years ago this November. He was 2.5 years old. And I saw how this could go bad. I saw how this could go bad. And we worked very hard to not let it go bad. But that happens. Do people get selfish later? Yes. And you know, we're full circle now, right? Because we were talking about what we were going to talk about on this live, and you said growth in marriage. What does growth in marriage do? If you stop growing in marriage, your marriage will die. You need to grow together. And again, that's the whole point of marrying a believer, is you're moving together in the same direction as you grow together. Now, there's no 100% guarantee for that. That's not how life works. There are evil people and bad things happen, and they make people change either due to mental illness or just due to them deciding to pick. I'm going to pick the easy thing. Mm-hmm. People do that. But the normalizing that and telling everyone you got to watch out because that's what's going to happen to you is the wrong way to send young people into marriage. And we are doing them a disservice to talk so much about the 1% and not about the 99%, which is that, well, pick a nice girl, pick a nice guy, get them before they're too old and have too much trauma and too much everything else, and treat them beautifully and care about each other and have lots of children that you both care about, and keep God at the center. We should spend 99% of our time talking about that, and 1% of the time talking to people like that poor woman who maybe needs to talk about this for the next 5 years. If she truly went through her husband beating her and causing repeated miscarriages, that's horrific. I meant no disrespect. It's horrible. It's terrible. But you've got to understand, you can't normalize that to young people.
Right.
And say, well, this is going to happen, so I'm going to tell my story so it doesn't happen to you. Tell your story because you need to heal from the trauma.
If that truly happened to that person, that does not happen to most people.
Right.
And so look out for the warning signs, the red flags, and avoid that at all costs. But don't think that that's likely going to happen to me, so I need to prepare for the likelihood that that's going to happen when it's probably not, if you vet properly.
Exactly. And it also, again, it just goes to show that, again, things happen that are not the norm.
Right.
And we need to spend time dealing with it with ourselves. I went to grief therapy so that I could talk for weeks, months about the pain I was in. I needed to go to a therapist who would listen. My sister got tired of listening. My husband got tired of listening. I don't blame them. This is hard stuff to listen to. So I went to a therapist to listen to me so I could process that. I wish she could, I hope she gets some help to deal with the processing. But processing it is not telling everyone or strangers or people on the internet, this is what happened to me and everyone else needs to watch out for it, and this is why divorce is justified. That's not the point. The point is go get some help and figure out why you stayed to be beaten through multiple miscarriages. What happened to him? How did this dynamic take place? I pray that it doesn't happen anymore and that you'll be safe.
Right.
But please, let's not normalize this going to the worst case scenario every time we talk about marriage.
Right.
Hi guys, did you send me a request, or was that just me?
I did, because you came on last week and you shared something really powerful, and I know you've got to go, Carla, in a minute.
Yeah,
but
I got to go
I'd
soon.
just let her share just really quick.
Okay, I'll listen and then I'm going to have to get off. Okay, thank you, my dear.
Thank you, appreciate it. Didn't expect the call. I look a little crazy. So yeah, it was me last week that actually, hey Carla. So yeah, it was me last week that mentioned that I was abused quite a bit, physically for sure, and many other things, like even, having a gun shot across my face when pregnant, and just a lot of things. Reached out for help, and really didn't get much support. The only support that I really got was honestly from God. God was not in our marriage at all. No matter how much I loved him, no matter how much I wanted to pray, bring it forward, God just wasn't in our marriage. So last week I came on and basically share my experience with, even though I'm divorced now and was separated for a while, it's not something that I'm super happy about. And I see the impacts, right? But for me, I definitely did have to take accountability. And I feel like from the beginning, if God was in the marriage, from the beginning, then it would have been so different. So to be honest, when you deal with abuse, and I'm only speaking from my experience, when you deal with physical abuse, to be honest, I wasn't thinking about running to the courthouse to get papers. I'm thinking about how to be safe for tonight and tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about getting on my knees and praying. So yeah, that was me last week. I mean, it happens, but I do think that, there's a thing with facts and, the Bible and God, and, learning how to take accountability to really see why you're in the, not you, but why people are in the position that they are. And I think that a lot of times opinion and emotion can really cloud judgment. You're going to do what you want to do, right? I can't force someone to stay. But for me, that was my experience. So, but I love marriage. I'm not married now, but in the future, through prayer and growth and all of that, I'm sure that, God will send an amazing husband my way. But yeah, that was just my experience. So thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for sharing, hon. Thanks for sharing. God bless.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're welcome. I definitely like no, like I appreciate, you know, the message. As I said last week, I mean, I don't think that you all should change the delivery. It's God has different resources in different places for different people, and you know, everyone isn't going to like how it comes out, but the truth is it stings. You know, like it's not gonna feel good all the time, and that's the whole purpose of growth. So yeah, I just appreciate you all of that.
Well,
Thanks.
yeah, thanks. And you know, let's inspire younger women
Hmm.
to make the good vetting choice, not to get so physically involved so fast that now they're going to stay no matter what,
Yeah.
because they figure, oh God, we've been together for 2 years and I see all these red
Hmm.
flags, but oh, now I've lost 2 years and I've been sleeping with him for 2 years, and oh God, now we have a
Yep.
kid, so now I
Yeah.
got to stay with him. Like there are fences around our behavior. The fences
Hmm.
are put there by God in order to save us pain later. And
Yeah.
it's a sad thing when that doesn't work. And I think it's our job as women who see this happening, that we are
Hmm.
in the place to say, listen, I'm not trying to not make you have fun, sis,
Yeah.
but don't jump and go all in on him the first 3 dates. You don't know him.
Yeah.
You don't know everything. Hang back a little. Are you
Hmm.
talking to his family? Oh wait, he doesn't have any family.
Exactly.
He doesn't speak to his mother. He doesn't speak to his father. Does he go to church? Oh no, he doesn't do that sky daddy stuff, blah blah. Like, you're racking
Yeah.
up red flag after red
Yeah.
flag after red
Yeah.
flag, and all someone's going to tell, it's we have to be practical
Hmm.
with these women, because they've been lied to, and then they end up someone for 10 years, auditioning for a relationship, and or feeling stuck even if they do marry.
Hmm.
Again, let me just ask you this, because I do have to get off soon and put babies to bed. How long was it that you started seeing those, after you said I do, after the wedding date? How long was it that you started seeing red flags, or did you already know
Hmm.
when you walked down the aisle that there were problems, but it was quote unquote too late? Because I
Oh,
hear
yeah.
different versions of this. So how about you, sweetie?
Yeah, I'm gonna be totally honest. I'm an open book and I'm real deal when it comes to that part. I saw the red flags before
Yeah.
marriage. Let's just be clear. I saw
Yep.
red flags for years before marriage. Now they weren't as like harsh, but at the end of the day, the accountability factors, it was still a red flag. It was still something that did not align and I ignored it.
Yep.
That's my fault. Definitely red flags for years. I met him at 13. We weren't together, just met him.
Right.
Got together like seriously, got sexually active at 17. I am 30 now, got married at 20, and then divorce process literally started 2018 and we're in 2022. So yeah, like, to be honest, like saw the red flags for years.
Right.
That's yeah, for sure.
But you were young. You had
Hmm.
gotten together with him very young. You were very emotionally attached. It's hard to then be logical. So, guys, I got
Yeah.
to go. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Thank you for being patient and bringing me on.
Yeah,
And I
thanks
appreciate
for
you.
hopping on.
We'll do it
Yeah.
again. We'll take care of our technical issues. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.